The Nike Pegasus 41 and the Adidas Supernova Rise, two shoes that now share quite a bit of overlap but come at it from very different engineering and design perspectives. While these two shoes haven't always shared a ton of overlap, the Supernova series from Adidas has always been more of their cushioned comfort trainer, making it much more comparable with what Nike does in the Vomero series than the Pegasus series. I would say with the recent redesign of the Supernova family, the Supernova Rise now is a very confident all-around daily trainer that really now puts these two shoes head to head. And since this is one of my versus videos, let's start with the specs. For the Nike Pegasus 41, we have 37 millifoam in the heel, 27 millifoam in the forefoot, giving you a 10 mil drop. The weight comes in at 9.9 ounces or 283 grams. I'll get to that, and these specs are for the US men's size 9, reference size that everyone uses, and they come from Running Warehouse. In the Adidas Supernova Rise, we actually have 34 millifoam in the heel, 24 millifoam in the forefoot, giving you a 10 mil drop, and the weight comes in at 9.5 ounces or 268 grams, again for the US men's size 9 reference size and from Running Warehouse. However, when we get into the rest of the specs of these shoes, especially in the midsole, we begin to see the drastic differences between these two shoes. In the Nike Pegasus 41, we have Nike's new React X midsole foam, which is React foam just manufactured in a new way that makes it more airy, more cushioned, more comfortable, a bit more flexible. And we still have the two Air Zoom units, one in the forefoot, one in the heel. And overall, the Peg 41 has a very traditional ride and geometry. I would say it's probably the most traditional shoe you could possibly buy right now in 2024. In contrast, the Supernova Rise uses Adidas' new Dream Strike Plus foam, which is a PIBA-based foam that Adidas developed specifically for training. So it's engineered more for stability and durability than it is actually energy return, because it's not a racing foam. And in the midsole, the Supernova Rise also has an EVA support rod carrier system, very much what you would expect from a carrier foam under a PIBA foam. However, it's actually rods. It's not rigid like the rods, the carbon fiber or glass fiber rods you would find in the Adizero shoes. It's just a support system under the PIBA that gives the PIBA additional structure, which feels really good underfoot. In overall, the Supernova Rise is a very plush and very flexible ride with a slight forefoot rocker. However, it runs very traditionally, because the shoe is so flexible. It's actually quite remarkable. The last thing I'll say is that the Pegasus, even though there's technically more stack height to it, still feels remarkably closer to the ground than the Supernova Rise. It just feels very natural that you're very close to the ground, though both of these shoes in 2024 are definitely on the lower end of stack heights. Moving to the weights of these two shoes, for the two pairs that I actually own of these shoes, in the Nike Pegasus 41, I get 277 grams in the left, 279 grams in the right, making it considerably under what Running Warehouse or even Nike is reporting for the weight of the shoe. And in the Adidas Supernova Rise, I get 267 grams or 265 grams in the right shoe, which puts it right about where the weight is spec'd for this shoe. And moving to the outsole of these two shoes, there is quite a bit of overlap here. Starting with the Nike Pegasus 41, we have 11.2 centimeters at the widest point of the forefoot, 6.5 centimeters in the waist of the shoe, and 8.7 centimeters in the heel of the shoe. In the Adidas Supernova Rise, we have 11.3 centimeters at the widest point in the forefoot, 7.2 centimeters in the waist of the shoe, and 8.4 centimeters in the heel of the shoe. Now, both of these shoes offer full rubber coverage on the outsole. In fact, almost every point of the outsole of the Supernova Rise is covered in some form of rubber, except a little section that you can see there in the midfoot. However, the Nike Pegasus 41 has a much more classic, much more traditional waffled outsole, which gives you better grip across more surfaces. The Adidas Supernova Rise is really geared towards road running, and it does it amazingly well. Also, in the bottom of the Supernova Rise, you can see those EVA support rods that I was talking about. They're the yellow rods that you can see at the bottom of the shoe. They actually run under the metatarsals of the foot, giving the foot a little bit more support while allowing you to be running on PIBA that's basically directly under the outsole of the shoe. Now, both of these shoes I would count as very stable. They're both very wide in the forefoot. They both have reasonably wide heels. And especially in the Supernova Rise's case, the midfoot of this shoe is extremely wide too, compared to the Peg at least. So they both give you a very, very stable ride. And they both run fairly flat because, again, they're wide, flat platforms that just work beautifully for really any type of road running that you need. And looking at the actual outsole patterns between these two shoes, I would say the Pegasus is geared more towards all-around running. Really, you can run that on any surface, where the Supernova Rise is geared towards really road running. I've taken it on trails. It's not the best thing. I would prefer the Peg for that. But both of these shoes have full rubber coverage on the outsole, which to me is a must for any sort of daily trainer. Moving to the fit of these two shoes and starting with the Nike Pegasus 41, this shoe to me is a very good fit. Now, Nike built the 41 on the same last as the 40, and it shows. The midfoot and the heel of the shoe offer great lockdown. It's the same midfoot lockdown system, the arch lock system, which is a band of fabric that runs here under the foot, back onto this side, locks the midfoot down in the shoe exceptionally well. There's a deep padded pocket here in the Achilles flare, and you should have no heel lift issues, a nicely padded tongue, and overall the lockdown in this shoe is very good. Now, the engineered mesh upper on this is a much softer material that's very reminiscent of Nike Flyknit from maybe 10 years ago, and it conforms to the foot really well. So in the midfoot of this shoe, I've been describing this shoe as a fairly wide fit. This is not a wide shoe, but because the platform is so wide, there's so much width here in the forefoot, and this material is very conforming, there is a lot of generous fit here as far as width. Though some people are saying that there is low volume in the toe box of this shoe, especially in the toe area, but it doesn't feel any different than a typical Nike fit to me. The other thing I'll say is that also typical to Nike, there's very little rubber and foam under the actual toe of the shoe. So toe off in a Nike feels very minimal. It feels like you're toeing off on the ground. I think that's a Nike hallmark. That's something I'm very used to from Nike, but that's why a lot of people are saying that the Peg 41 has a very sort of harsh toe feel. It's all of that. But for me, this shoe just feels like a Nike. It doesn't feel any different. It doesn't feel like Nike did anything extreme in this shoe that they don't do in their other models. Now, moving to the Adidas Supernova Rise, this upper could not be more different. This to me is the softest, most plush training upper that I can think of. This upper is very generous in its fit. It's very plush and very comfortable. And there's absolutely no pressure points in this upper. The eyelet chain is very simple. The laces in this shoe are not Adi-Zero laces. They're much better, so you get good lockdown. We have a very stout Achilles flare in this shoe and a very padded ankle collar in this shoe, giving you a deep pocket here, which locks your heel in with the good, simple eyelet chain in the midfoot. You're very locked into this shoe, but overall it's a very plush, very accommodating fit. I would say the width of this shoe is generous. I wouldn't necessarily call this shoe wide. However, I wouldn't call it narrow either. If you have a wide foot, you may want to try this one out because as plush and as comfortable and as generous fitting as this upper is, it may actually work for your foot. But overall, this is one of the most comfortable training uppers I've ever put on my foot, and it's really outstanding what Adidas has done with this upper. Moving into the ride of these two shoes and going back to the Nike Pegasus 41, as I've already said, I think this shoe is probably one of the most traditional daily trainer fits and rides that you could possibly get. This shoe feels very wide underfoot, very stable, very low to the ground. So you can really dig into and toe off in this shoe. And as I described, this very sort of low profile toe area of the Peg 41 is very quintessential to Nike. So you really get this powerful, very direct feel on toe off of this shoe. It makes this shoe overall, I think, very versatile, really for any type of surface. The new React X foam in this shoe is much softer, much more cushion. It's not spongy. It's not a foam you're sinking into. And there is added energy return to this foam, but it's not Zoom X foam. It's still React foam. It's just softer, more cushioned, and much more comfortable and much more flexible. This shoe has a really good flex pattern to it. And the airbags in this shoe, I would say they feel a little bit firmer, but you notice them now in that they actually do provide a little tiny bit of rebound, especially the one on the forefoot. Overall, I think Nike's just really updated the shoe to be really versatile across the board, but still maintain what a Pegasus is. It's still a very traditional, neutral, flat, stable daily trainer that really can go anywhere. And this really ticks all of those boxes. Moving to the Adidas Supernova Rise, this shoe is kind of completely opposite in almost every way. We have a very, very soft foam here in Dreamstrike Plus, and it feels very soft. This is a very soft, comfortable plush shoe, just like I described the upper, to run in. It's really easy to put your foot into this shoe because it's so comfortable and go out and just run. This midsole foam is probably one of the best training midsole foams I've ever run in. It just eats up the kilometers or miles. It just works really well. Even though there's only 24 mil of stack height in the forefoot of the shoe, which for me is what I love. I don't like really high stack shoes. I've never had any issue with bottoming out in the shoe or it feeling like it's not cushioned. This shoe just feels plush, cushioned, very flexible, and very comfortable to run in. I've described this shoe as the most comfortable shoe to get out the door and just get your run in. The other thing that really helps this Dreamstrike Plus foam, again, are these support rods, these EVA carrier rods. These rods actually give this soft PIVA foam a lot more stability, a lot more than what you'd actually expect from a foam that's this soft. They give the shoe some structure, especially in toe-off where all of these rods come together up here. The toe-off in this shoe is actually firmer than you would expect from how soft and forgiving this foam is. So overall, this shoe is just so comfortable to run in. The other thing I'm going to say about this shoe is if you're a heel striker, midfoot striker, or forefoot striker, you're going to get the same experience across the board in this shoe. The heel strike in this shoe is so smooth. Midfoot and forefoot strike are also very smooth. You're getting the same amount of foam, the same feel of this foam, and the wonderfulness of the leg savingsness and the recovery aspects of running and training in a PIVA foam. This whole package and the engineering that Adidas has done with this shoe for comfort, plushness, and usability is just absolutely outstanding. So what's the verdict here? Which one of these two shoes do I prefer? While there is a clear winner here, it really comes down to what I'm trying to accomplish with my running. But the clear winner overall is the Adidas Supernova Rise. I cannot give this shoe more praise. I am so blown away by this shoe and surprised by this shoe that I just can't say more good things about this shoe. This shoe is everything I have always wanted in a cushioned trainer. It's soft, it's flexible, it's low to the ground, it's got a great toe off, it's got a great feel, it's very plush, it's very comfortable, and it just is so easy to put on and just get your run done. So if I am training for something, like I'm preparing for a half or a full marathon, this is without a doubt the main shoe that I want for all of that easy and long running. Not workouts, not the fast long runs, just everything else. Because this is the most comfortable shoe for training that I could possibly think of. In many ways, the Supernova Rise is what I've always wanted the Pegasus to feel like. I've always wanted to be softer, but more flexible, but still very cushioned. And this just is all of that. The other thing I'm going to add about this is this shoe I have over 200 miles in, and it's been remarkably consistent, which to me gives it a ton of praise for a training tool. Because after the first, 10, 20 miles in this shoe, it broke in a little bit, got softer, got a little bit more flexible. The forefoot packed down a little bit, but it just molded to my foot. But now after 200 miles, this shoe is just as consistent. It has not changed. It has the same feel, the same plushness, the same cushion, the same comfort as it did when it was almost new. So that's another key attribute for a training tool for me is consistency. And this shoe has been nothing but consistent for me. You cannot go wrong with either one of these shoes. The Adidas Supernova Rise is one of the best running shoes I have run in the past 5 or 6 years. Period. This is an outstanding shoe, and I'm surprised by it every time I run in it. The Nike Pegasus 41 is one of the best Pegasus in many years. It's bringing the Pegasus back to its roots, the classic, traditional, stable, neutral daily trainer. You cannot go wrong with either one of these, and I would pick either one of these to do all of the type of running that I actually need to do. So in 2024, in the era of max stack, max cushion, maxed everything, we have two great lower stack daily trainers, one that's very modern in its approach with materials, one that's very classic in its approach as far as feel, that really can do everything. And it's a great time to be a runner to be able to choose between these two shoes. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you find this content useful, consider subscribing. You'll see more content from me pop up in your feed. If not, drop a like on this video because it helps this channel continue to grow, which I always appreciate. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.